I'm here to convince you to watch Industry, if not just for Harper, who is one of the most relatable characters to me as like a disagreeable black woman in a long time. Like she's a little bit offbeat. I find her very relatable. She can be very quiet. She's very Scorpio energy to me. Will say it took me till episode 8 of the first season to really give a fuck and be hooked. But that's because there's a lot of other characters that honestly, some of them, the character that Harper calls weak, I agreed with her. As soon as she said it, I was like, yeah, and this is why I don't like this bitch. I don't dislike her, but when she comes on screen, I'm like, oh, okay. Is she gonna shower again and like longingly look at herself in the mirror? I don't know. I'm there for Harper. A lot of the other characters I don't really care about. Harper and her manager, that could be the whole show for me. But season 1, episode 8 is how long it took me to be like, okay, I'm really paying attention now. Now, I also want to give you guys some tips on how to, just in general, get into things that you want to consume, like media-wise, whether it's a TV show or a book. When you're not into it at first, you really sometimes have to push through. And I think there's an art to doing this. And I could do a TED Talk on this topic, because as somebody who in the pandemic was like, I need to get my attention span to watch these shows and read these books because people are talking about them and I'm sure they're good. I think my attention span is just shot and it takes you some time to get into things. You need to push. Here's what you do. You put on Industry, right? You have your Kindle. You're reading a book that you like on Kindle, okay? You're reading the book. It's TV's in the background. This only works for some kind of attention span such as mine. You go back and forth. You start to slowly gain familiarity with some of these characters. Obviously, Harper from the beginning is going to pull you in. Like, she's the show. And her manager, that dynamic is really interesting. And then there's going to be some men and some women that you're like, is this the same person? Is this a different person? And you won't care. And you just have to push through until bigger things start to happen. And the dynamics start to set. And you start to feel that familiarity and that connection to the heartbeat and the pulse of the show, and then you can put your Kindle down if you want. Does that make sense? Now, same thing happens in the reverse. For a book that you're trying to get into that maybe you're not that into, this is harder, but you can read it while you have a show that you like-ish on, but don't need to pay too much attention to, if that makes sense. I did this with A Secret History because, I don't know, you bitches were making it sound like the fucking Bible for Greek mythology and like fun college experiences. And it took me until page 164. 164 for me to start to feel connected to it. And sometimes it takes that long. That's 30% of the book. It was 30% of the book, and I was like, okay, fucking finally. There's so much, and I have theories about this too, like what kind of reader you are is maybe a sensory thing. Like when there's a lot of visual descriptions about like trees and shit, I'm sorry, I'll never care because I'm not a visual person. That might sound like whatever. I'm all about the dialogue. Tell me what they were hearing, what they were feeling, what they were thinking. I mostly could give a fuck about what they saw, unless it's like really physically interesting, like cool, warped, fantastical shit. But like, okay, he was cold, he was lonely, he walked around town, he was really fucking cold, he tripped, he was really cold and lonely, he didn't know where anyone was, he was fucking cold. And it's not that it was like all bad, I was just like, and there was some moments before that were cool. And then it went into a big lull for me. And I was like, where is it, you guys? You guys got me hyped on this to read this. Everybody keeps talking about The Secret History. Oh, I think I just want to read The Secret History again. And I read it right after Bunny. Bunny, to me, every sentence is beautiful. Every sentence. There was very little of Bunny that I was like, okay, can we push? There was none of that. A Secret History, 164, 30%. That's all I'm going to say.